to Paper Crafters Library. In this video I'm going to show you how to create this Good Tidings to You and Yours greeting card. So let's get started. You're going to need a 4 1/4 by 11 inch piece of early espresso cardstock from Stampin' Up! And I've gone ahead and scored it down the center at 5.5 inches with my paper trimmer and scoring blade. You're going to fold and crease along that score line with your bone folder, creating a 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch standard size card base. Once you have this complete, you're going to set this aside, and you're going to now need a piece of fine linen cardstock from Paper Tray that measures 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. You're going to run this through the Big Shot with the square lattice embossing folder from Stampin' Up! Because this is a linear embossing folder, you want to make sure that your cardstock is nice and straight in your embossing folder, and then run that through the Big Shot. I'm back from the Big Shot, and as you can see, I have embossed the surface of my fine linen piece of cardstock. You're now going to need a 1 inch by 4 inch piece of early espresso cardstock, and you're going to need a piece of designer paper. And here I am using a piece of designer paper found in the Postel 8 by 8 inch pad by 7 Gypsies, and I've trimmed this down to a 2 3/4 by 4 inch piece of designer paper, and you're just going to run a bit of double-sided adhesive along our 1 inch by 4 inch piece of early espresso cardstock, and you just want to leave about 1/8 of an inch border along the top of our designer paper. Once you have that stuck down properly, then you're going to add this to your you're going to stick this to the bottom portion of your embossed fine linen. Once you have it straight, you're going to stick this to the embossed fine linen piece of cardstock. So I'm applying double-sided adhesive along the back of my designer paper with my 1/8 of an inch trim to the top. I'm going to align my bottom edges of my designer paper with the bottom edges of my fine linen cardstock, and stick that down to the bottom half of the designer paper. Once you have that complete, you can set that aside for a moment, and you're now going to need a piece of craft cardstock that measures 2 3/4 of an inch by 3 3/4 of an inch. You're going to stamp your image, and here I am using the tree image in the Meadows stamp set. My greeting is also found in the same stamp set, and I'm going to stamp that using Early Espresso Classic ink. So I'm just going to ink up my image, and I'm going to stamp that in the middle of my craft cardstock. This is also from Paper Tray. Once you have that stamped, then you're going to center and stick that to a piece of early espresso cardstock that measures 2 7/8 by 3 7/8. So you're just going to, because my ink is still slightly wet, I'm going to add my adhesive to the mat instead of my image. You're just going to center and stick that to your early espresso mat here, leaving equal borders on all 4 sides. You're then going to bring back in your embossed fine linen with your designer paper piece of cardstock, and you're going to center and stick your matted image here to the center of your matted designer paper. Once you have that complete, you're then going to need a 6 inch piece of Stampin' Up's natural ribbon cotton, and this is a stampable cotton, so you can set aside your image for a moment. And I'm going to be using my greeting found in the Meadow stamp set again. This is the Good Tidings to You and Yours, and I'm also going to stamp that with my Early Espresso Classic ink. I want to stamp it about 1 inch in from my tail, and I've cut my tail on a slight angle with my craft scissors, so I'm going to stamp that 1 inch in from the end. So go ahead and ink up your greeting and stamp your greeting directly onto your natural cotton ribbon. Just give that a moment to dry. You can set aside your ink as well as your stamp. You won't be using that anymore. And you're now going to take your matted image. You're going to lay this along the bottom of your tree, centering the greeting on your tree. Your right hand end of your cotton ribbon will overhang. That's fine. We're going to actually add a tiny bit of double-sided adhesive along the bottom portion of our tree, or you could add it to the back of your ribbon if you wish, centering that greeting on your matted tree. Once you have that in place, we're going to flip this over and we're going to only adhere and wrap our left-hand side of our ribbon around to the back of our cardstock, sticking that down with your double-sided adhesive. You want the right-hand side to be still left exposed. You can bring your card base back in, and you're going to now center and stick your image to your card base with your double-sided adhesive. And again, I'm being fairly liberal because it is embossed. We want to make sure that it adheres properly to our card base. I'm leaving equal borders on all four sides, making sure that my fold is towards the top. Once you have that in place, we're ready to add our final embellishment. We will be embellishing this card with a brushed bronze button from Stampin' Up! And I'm going to be adding some linen thread to that. So you're going to need about, I would say, about a 12-inch piece of linen thread. And you're just going to fold this in half so that you have a 5-inch piece. You're just going to wrap this or thread this through the buttonholes, filling in some of the buttonholes. I'm going to run this through each buttonhole twice so that I'll have a four layers of the linen thread through each buttonhole. So just keep threading that through, just filling in some of those holes. They are quite large holes. That's why I chose to thread this a few times, filling that in. And once you have that complete, then we're going to stick the ends down to the back of our button using a mini glue dot. So as you can see here, it just slightly fills up the buttonholes a little bit more than just a single layer of thread. We're going to take a mini glue dot and I don't seem to have a mini glue dot at this time. I'm then going to use a drop of hot glue. Sticking the ends down to the hot glue. Then you can trim those off, and then we will be sticking our button down to our project using our hot glue. So I'm just going to apply some hot glue to the back of our button. And I'm sticking that, or I'm laying the hot glue onto the linen thread so that it doesn't push through my buttonholes. And there you have your finished Good Tidings project. I hope you enjoyed stamping with me. If you enjoyed this video, you enjoyed the way we teach, and would like to learn even more, we invite you to check out the Paper Crafters Library. Whether you're a beginner looking to learn the basics, or an advanced paper crafter looking to learn new skills and techniques, you'll find it all here. Stamping, card making, scrapbooking, and altered art, we cover it all. With over 1,000 videos currently in our library, and over 50 videos added each month, we are the largest and most comprehensive online library of video tutorials for paper crafters on the internet. We invite you to visit our library and see what we're all about.